anything in terms of in the preparation so that this fight week you're not stressing too much about it?
You know, I just started out a little bit sooner than I normally do. I used the UFC PI, Clint from the PI, and everybody out there helped me out. You know, put a good nutrition plan for me, and you know, and even fighting. Supposed to be fighting in July 15th. That fight fell through. I was getting down pretty close. That kind of gave me some confidence knowing that I'd be able to make this weight.
I'm glad you brought that up. Talk about that because you get to Abu Dhabi. I'm assuming you'd already done the flight and everything. And obviously you get the news. Just what was it like going through that and then just the readjustment to prepare for this date now?
Well, I didn't quite get to Abu Dhabi. We had to come to Vegas, take a test, quarantine for 24 before we head out to Abu Dhabi. So that's when I found the news that Pedro tested positive. So I went home from there. I took a week off, gained some weight, and got the fight rebooked, I believe, a couple days later, and then just refocused and got back on track.
I feel like there was a rumor. Was there ever any talk of Aljamain Sterling stepping in to fight you, or was that just the internet going a little crazy?
Yeah, I don't really know, honestly. A lot of people were calling my name, but I wanted to fight Pedro. Getting ready for Pedro. And, I heard he wasn't very sick either. It's asymptomatic possibly, so I thought that was the best thing to do.
Talking about Pedro Munhoz, tough guy. He's fought some big names. What does he bring to the table that makes him dangerous?
He's got heavy hands. He's got a great chin, hard to take down, and a superb submission game. So he's really well rounded. He's not an easy opponent. Being number 5 is the perfect guy I want to fight.
Going down to Bantamweight, you're obviously a very big name, and really the division hasn't been this good in quite a while in a lot of people's opinion. You've got a big 3, Petr Yan, Aljo, Marlon, who you've trained with. Just first on the big 3, how do you see that playing out? Who's going to come out on top with those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously biased to Marlon's a good friend of mine, and I think I know what he's capable of, and I think he's one of the best guys in the world. And Aljamain's been on a tear, and Yan looked very impressive against Aldo. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything pans out, and I'm excited to see how I fit in all this.
Yeah, final one for me. We do know that they're kind of very established already in the weight class, but a big win for you here. Do you feel like this is you're on the short list if you could get a win on Saturday to maybe slide into the title picture already?
I don't know. I just got to worry about winning my fight Saturday. Winning has a way of taking care of things, and if I could do that, anything's possible. What I've done in my career, I'm always knocking on the door. I'm always have opportunities presented to me, and if it does come up, of course I jump at it.
Thank you, Frankie.
Thanks.
Our next question is from Damon Martin with MMA Fighting.
Frankie, I feel like we've talked about Bantamweight now for about 2 years, talking about this move, and here we go. What has it been like, kind of waiting for this? You were going to do it last year, then that Korean Zombie fight popped up, you took it, you did what you did, and then you had the delays and the pandemic and all these different things. Like, it felt like kind of forever since you've actually said, I'm moving to Bantamweight, and now here's the debut.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like, I believe I made my decision last summer that I was going to go down to Bantamweight, and, I was trying to hopefully fight in November, and then, nothing panned out. Then I was booked for January, and then obviously the fight with Korean Zombie and whatnot. And me and Pedro have been booked a couple times. So, yeah, we're finally here, a couple days away. I'm very excited to finally get this done.
You've always been a guy, I think company man is 2 words to describe you. You're always there and willing to step up when the UFC needs you. That Zombie fight is a perfect example. But when you heard that Pedro was out with COVID-19, I know there was people trying to get the fight with you, Jimmy Rivera, whoever it was. But did you feel like this was too big of an opportunity to pass up just to fight somebody in the division, whereas Pedro's a number 5 guy, and this would be a huge way to introduce yourself to Bantamweight?
Yeah, exactly. I've taken some short notice fights or short opponents changes, and didn't always work out the way I wanted it to. So I learned from some past mistakes, I guess you could say, and I said, let's just wait. We got rebooked a month later. It's really not that big a deal. And it just felt like I had more time to prepare, more time to realize I could make this weight, and it all worked out.
I know your focus is only on Pedro Munhoz, but I got to ask you, you're jumping into a division where you have a lot of friends at Bantamweight. You train with Cody Garbrandt. I know he's going to fight for flyweight, but he's talked about doing both divisions. You mentioned Marlon. I know he's down at ATT, but you're still very close, very good friends with him. Aljo, I know you don't really train with him, but he comes from that same Renzo Gracie family. Is it weird, jumping in and challenging these guys to just understand that's part of the sport? Because, again, you do have kind of a tight-knit group of friends and teammates.
Yeah, well, I think we could avoid, me and Aljamain don't train. We were possibly talked about fighting before, so that could definitely be a possibility. I don't think I'll ever fight Marlon, and Cody, he's going down 25, so I don't have to worry about that. We've been getting pretty close as well too. So there's plenty of guys to fight in this weight class. The champion, obviously, Aljo, and many others, Corey, and there's plenty of guys I have opportunity to go against.
Yeah, you were going to get. There was the talk about the Corey fight, back in January. Then you ended up getting Pedro Munhoz. Pedro's obviously a phenomenal fighter. Outside the loss to Aljo, he'd been on a pretty incredible streak with a win over Cody in there as well. Do you feel like this is kind of the perfect matchup to introduce yourself to the division in terms of getting you in that top five? Because you've always been that guy. You never want to be, you don't ever want to be out of title contention, and this seems like kind of the perfect matchup to get you mentioned already.
Yeah, exactly. Pedro's been a stud in this weight class for a while. He's got some big wins over very good guys. And, a win will put me in the direction I want to be. It'll put me in the position I want to be. I've been fighting the best guys since day one of my UFC career. And, I don't want that to change. And Pedro's the guy that made the most sense for me.
Last question, Frankie. Every fight you're in, because of who you are and what you've done, is always going to have a spotlight on it. Here you are in a main event. You want to make a statement with every fight. We got a lot of big bantamweight fights coming up. Marlon's fighting Corey. I think we all imagine we're going to see Aljamain fight Peter Yan. Things like that. Do you feel like this is a chance to not only introduce yourself to the division, but kind of make a statement of who you are as a threat to that title?
Yeah, I know a lot of people are questioning, where I'm at in my career. I'm a little bit older, and coming down a weight class, people are questioning, my abilities here, and that's my. I want to go out there and. More so to prove to anybody else, just prove to myself that I'm still a top dog in whatever weight class I fight in.
Thanks, Frankie.
Thanks, Damon.
Our next question is from Jim Barcelone with the Miami Herald.
Thank you so much. I'm just curious about just how amped do you get up for fights? You've been doing this. You've been in big fights, titles. But how amped do you get up? We're coming off trying to get through this pandemic. Fights on ESPN. It's UFC Fight Night. What can you tell us a little bit about that and main eventing this against Pedro?
Yeah, I'm just fortunate that I had the chance to do my craft. A lot of people can't even, work right now because of this pandemic, and a lot of people are dealing with adversity. And, go out there and I could do something I love. It's definitely gets me excited. And, just to fight period, but not only fight period, but fight for a main event, fight a top guy in this new division. It just makes everything that much more, worth it.
When Pedro got COVID, did that hit close to home to you? Did you ever experience that with anyone, family or friends? Unfortunately, hopefully not.
Yeah, I had probably a few, maybe 4 or 5 friends had COVID. No one had it, too bad, thankfully. So they bounced back pretty quickly. But people are getting sick, man. It's kind of sucks, but you just got to deal with it, I guess.
Frankie, did you have to train differently during the time from the beginning of the COVID period, I guess back in March, and up until now, and sort of just level it off, see where you're going with it?
Yeah, early on, New Jersey was one of the worst places. So early on, I was, we had a pretty strict quarantine. But as we started opening up, it wasn't too bad. I kept close people around me. I really didn't go around anyone else. We kept the team together, and I had to make some adjustments, but not too bad. So this training camp was actually really good.
And who did you bring with you? I know they're smaller groups, but who did you bring with you for this fight?
As far as my coaches?
Yes, your team, yes.
Yeah, Mark Henry, Ricardo Almeida, Chris Ligori, and Steve Rivera. These guys that pretty much corner me every fight, so nobody different.
So business as usual.
Yeah, business as usual. Everything's going the way we need it to go.
And the last one from me, he fights for American Top Team. And I'm curious, when you're going against an opponent, when you bring up the camp, what camp they're with, does that add a little more to it? Do you look at the fighter differently, or that doesn't play a part or a factor in any of the opponents?
No, it doesn't matter. The name don't even matter. It could be anybody. I'm just fighting an avatar in a video game. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter what he's done or what he hasn't done. It's like it's a silhouette that I'm fighting. That's all I get ready for.
And you've been doing that very well. So thank you, Frankie. Go get him on Saturday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Our next question is from Gabriel Pengelangen with the Dojo Drifter.
Okay, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. So, you never really have any easy fights. You never have any tune-up fights. Is this something that you actually prefer doing? Jumping into the deep end of the pool when you get into any fight or into the new weight divisions?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I'm one of the best in whatever weight class I'm in, and the only way to prove it is by going against the best guys. So Pedro's that guy right now, and yeah, I'm confident that I get the job done.
Yeah, and this move down another weight class, is this something that you think you wish you did a bit sooner?
I'm not really a coulda, shoulda, woulda guy. It just is what it is. I was able to get a title at 55. I pretty much was number 2 at 45 for a very long time. I've been the best at, or near the best at pretty much any weight class. So, it's just going to show that, that my skills and my technique and my heart really, really matter a lot, even when I was fighting the bigger guys.
Yeah, and so I'm calling from the Philippines, and, Filipinos have been following your career, especially after you headlined UFC Manila. That was 5 years ago, and it's been a crazy career. How would you describe your career over the past 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, there's ups and downs in my career the past 5 years, but, I'm just plugging away. I'm still enjoying what I'm doing, and, yeah, I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, and you mentioned that, it's tough all around. Businesses are obviously affected by the pandemic. I understand you're a businessman with UFC Gym. So is it difficult balancing the business side and the fighting side of your career?
Yeah, it definitely is. But I got good people in place to help me out with that stuff too, especially when I have fights coming up. So, I kind of let them handle that aspect. But, like I said, this is across the board tough for everybody in every profession. So, you just got to make the adjustments and keep it moving.
And lastly, for me, being a fighter is it's a crazy job. It's a tough job. What keeps you motivated? Why do you do what you do?
I just love to compete. I love working out for a job. Get up in the morning and not having to go, in the elements and dig holes or carry pipe like I used to when I was a kid. So, I'll take this any day of the week.
That's awesome. Thank you for your time, Frankie. Best of luck this weekend.
Our next question is from Rodney James Edgar. You have been unmuted.
Hey, what's up, man? It's your cousin. How you doing? Hey, listen, this is probably a follow-up question or I'll ask you a follow-up question about this after the fight. Because I know when you're this close to stepping on the scale, it's really hard to tell where your power and energy are going to be on fight night, right? Because right now I'm sure you feel completely depleted and, the whole thing, lethargic. But as of right now, as you're hitting pads, doing your last bit of weight cut, rolling, things like this, light drills, are you feeling the same way that you felt when cutting to 45, or is it a little bit harder?
I mean, I'll be 100% honest. I feel pretty much the same as I did going down to 45. I got my weight down early enough where I'm not stressing, and I really don't think it's going to be a struggle, honestly. It's going to be very comparable to when I went down to 45. And, I've been still getting 2 workouts a day, still, doing my normal routine. Tonight I'm going to go, probably get a good 5 rounds of work with Coach Mark. And, things is pretty much the same, honestly.
Cool. And you mentioned earlier you got the UFC PI adjacent to the UFC Apex, which I don't know if you've had a chance to go there yet. A lot of people in your circle have or have fought there. So what do you think? What do you think about the buzz around the Apex?
Yeah, man. It's going to be a little different. Fighting in front of nobody. But it's the UFC did a great job with this. You got hats off to everybody that works for UFC. They're pretty much making this a seamless transition for us fighters, making sure we're safe. And, you know, thank God they could do this, man, because I'm sure you guys want to watch fights. I know we want to compete, and I'm just fortunate they're able to do that.
And you know something? They're doing the same thing for us in the media, and I told Dana White as much. So actually, thank you for mentioning that. You're the first person to say that. They're going above and beyond with their measures. I want to address the elephant in the room, though. You know, you went a long time in your career without ever being finished, and I have to imagine that at some point that mentally it almost makes you feel like it's not even possible. You know, I certainly feel that way, like it's impossible to finish me. But, you know, listen, what was the experience like with the Brian Ortega KO? And I don't just mean in the immediate aftermath. I mean in the days that follow. What is the mental and physical repercussions that you go through after that first one?
Physically, I was fine after that fight. Honestly, you know, I've been rocked, you know, probably worse in other fights, but he did a good job of capitalizing on it and making the referee stop it. But mentally, you know, it's tough, man. I don't take losses very well, especially knockout losses, I guess. But I don't know if they sting any less. You know, a loss is a loss, and it's just something you have to get over. I think, you know, in the long run, it makes you stronger, makes you have more mental fortitude. You know, I'm not one to just, you know, get down and not get back up. So I'll always get back up, and that's the most important thing. Right.
And I think for you, you've been pretty vocal about this in the past. I think the losses that sting the worst are those decisions that you feel, and that a lot of people feel that you should have won, which would have really changed the story of your legacy completely, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know, those razor thin ones are tough, you know, but I mean, I'm not the only guy that you know, has been subject to bad judging, or at least I think so. So, you know, it kind of goes across the board in this sport, unfortunately. And again, it's like another thing he's got to learn from. It's you know, life ain't easy, and you're gonna get thrown a lot of shit you don't want to deal with, or a lot of shit you don't like. But you can't stay down. You just got to keep moving forward.
Great attitude, Frankie. I got one more question for you. You mentioned earlier about New Jersey being, you know, one of the places. And of course, New York City was declared ground zero for COVID. But if we turn on the news, you know, especially you know, like a month or so ago, there is so much craziness going on in the streets, especially in New York City, and New Jersey got pretty crazy. I'm just wondering, what's it look like out there where you're at?
Honestly, where I'm at, man, I'm on the Jersey Shore. Everything's peachy keen by us, bro. You know, I don't get involved too much in that craziness, and I just make sure my family's safe, and I'm worried about, you know, my duties as a family man and as a fighter, and that's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Edgar. We will see both of y'all gentlemen this Saturday, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our last question is from Augusto Nieske with Samos MMA.
Hi, Frankie. How are you? How are you doing?
Good, man. You?
Fine, thank you. Frankie, taking into account that this fight was booked, I think, almost 4 times all over the year, could we say that the camp for this fight was your longest training camp ever?
It definitely feels like it. Started, you know, supposed to fight a month ago, so it pretty much add 5 weeks to 8 weeks. You know, what is that, 13? I'm not good at math. So yeah, 13 weeks. I have done 12 weeks in the past, but yeah, this is definitely the longest camp, and I'm excited. I'm excited to finally, you know, put all this work, you know, to play on Saturday.
And did all this rescheduling affect your preparation?
No, it didn't. I mean, you know, the hiccups kind of sucked. My weight was pretty close in July, but I went home, took a week off, let my body rest, and gained a bunch of weight, and then, you know, once we're back to it, I got squared away. I got, you know, I got pretty much refocused, and it was, to me, it's a blessing in disguise. I was able to prepare more, kind of fine tune things. Like I said, I was able to know that I could get close to the weight class without really feeling too depleted.
Okay, and Frankie, taking into account your experience and considering the COVID-19 context, how are you adapting to all these new things in this fight week?
Yeah, I mean, you know, adapting like we're all in the same boat, right? So I got to do it. My opponent's got to do it. Everybody in the card's got to do it. So I'm just rolling with the punches. You know, I'm not letting anything really affect me. it's new. It kind of makes fight week a little more refreshing, I guess, in a sense, because I've never done it this way. I've been fighting for a long time. Shit can get kind of redundant, but this is all new to me, so I'm looking at it that way.
And which kind of fight do you imagine for Saturday? Did you change anything from your last fights?
I mean, I just always try to improve my skills. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to push the pace hard. Training went well. My conditioning feels great. So I'm just going to be a typical Frankie Edgar fight. I'm going to get in his face and push it from bell to bell.
Okay, and my last one. What's your analysis of the Bantamweight division? What do you bring to the division, and how do you think you could place yourself in there?
Yeah, I think this division is the hottest division right now. A lot of great young kids, a lot of great former champions and whatnot. And I think I could compete in any weight class that I choose to. And I'm in bantamweight right now, and I'm gonna go make some noise on Saturday and put myself right in the mix.
Great, Frankie. Thank you very much, and good luck on Saturday.
That's all we have for you today, Frankie.
Thank
you.
Done.
I thought he said last